Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing my 2021 reading goals. Obviously this is my first year on BookTube, so this is my first year making a video with my goals. But last year I did actually put up a post on my Instagram stories of goals that I had. It was literally 3 things, but I suppose we'll just go over and see did I complete any of those. I wanted to give stricter ratings, which I do think I'm getting better for. I don't think my rating system is perfected just yet, but it's a lot better. Number 2 was to reread The Infernal Devices, which I did back in February before Chain of Gold came out. Number 3 was to read 65 books, and I have most certainly completed that. Last year I read 59 books, and so I always kind of went up just a small bit, so it wasn't too much, but just to push myself a little more. And well, things happened this year, and I'm around 114 books in when I'm filming this. So I'll probably be near 120-ish by the time the year is over. So I've kind of doubled that goal. And my last goal that I had was to read more genres, and this is the only one that I think I kind of failed at. I definitely read a couple more genres, but it was still so much fantasy, which I'm always going to be majority fantasy, but I'd like to get a small bit more. I actually started off the year really good. Like, I was reading some mystery books and dystopians and contemporaries. Like, I'm not even sure did I read any fantasy in January, but I did slightly fail at that goal. Not totally though. So that brings us on to this year. So what do I want to do this year? So my first goal is I want to diversify my reading. I read mostly white women, so I'm not planning to diversify my reading by reading more men. I'm fine with reading mostly women. But I do want to read more from authors in the LGBTQ+ community, and also from more authors of color. It's something that I've noticed is, especially recently, I've just started taking more note of it, and I'm kind of ashamed of how little I read from authors of color. It's definitely something I have to improve on. I read a fair bit from LGBTQ authors, but I still would like to read more, and so that is goal number 1. So goal number 2 is the return of I want to read more genres. So I'm always going to be a majority fantasy reader, and I don't want that to change. I like reading fantasy, but I do want to read more. I've read a couple of other genres this year. I've read some really nice contemporaries. I've read some sci-fis and some mysteries, and some of those have really interested me. And I read my first ever romance book. So definitely the ones that are top of my list are I want to read some sci-fis, some thrillers. I want to try to read more non-fictions. I only read one this year, but it was such a good non-fiction. It was All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. I want to read more romance, which I'm thinking of like doing it in February, where I like read for like a week or 2. I just like read a load of romance books and see how I do. I keep saying I want to try more classics. I haven't liked any that I've read, but I'm determined to find one. So I'll definitely try a couple more, and then if I'm not liking any, I'll just call it quits. So goal number 3 is I want to read more adult books. If you watched my most recent video, I was reading the YA Goodreads nominees, the fantasy ones. And I said in that video, I do think I'm growing out of YA fantasy. And the books that are the most intriguing and interesting to me, those are adult fantasies. YA fantasy made up of around, I think, 70% of my reading this year, which is a huge chunk. But when looking at all of the 5 stars I've given this year, most of those were adult books, especially adult fantasy. I definitely am more interested in reading some adult fantasy, and also I suppose try some adult contemporaries and stuff, because I read Beartown and that was also great. Also, I do want to try and read a couple of middle grades as well. I don't think that's ever going to be like my favorite genre or anything, but I want to try it out. I'm aiming for like 45% YA, 40% adult, and like 15% middle grade. Just around those marks. I don't care if like I read more adult than YA or anything, but just to try and bring the YA down and the adult up. So number 4 is also related to a goal that I had last year, and that is to become a more critical reader. I have definitely become a more critical reader this year, but I still have a far way to go. Looking back on some of my ratings from the start of the year, I'm like, I just don't agree with that. And I think that is a problem I have, especially with books I get for Christmas. I like to give them really high ratings because I feel bad to not give them high ratings. And so I'm like, doesn't matter if it's a present, I have to judge it like I judge all the rest of my books. And I am debating whether to use CallPile, which is a rating system created by G at Book Roast. CallPile, they stand for a category, so characters, atmosphere, writing, plot, intrigue, logic, enjoyment, and you give it a 1 to 10, and then at the end it like tells you what star rating it would come out as. So I'm debating whether to use that or not, but I'll see. So now we're moving on to my final reading goal of the year, but I still have 2 more kind of bookish related goals, and that is goal number 5, and that is my Goodreads challenge. So as I said, in previous years I've always gone up slightly from what I read the previous year and pushed myself. I am not doing that this year because obviously this year was special circumstances. I would not have read nearly 120 books if it wasn't for being at home the whole time. I am not planning on reading 120. Well, I would be raising my goal, so it would be like 125. That is not happening. But I am, and I still think I might be pushing it. I'm going to set it as 100 books. That's a lot of books. My average kind of per month, there's been a couple of outliers, but it has been around 8-ish books. So 8 by 12 is like, what, 96? Which I can do 8 books in a month. I just need to fit 4 other books in throughout the year. And I should be able to do that. I'm gonna aim for 100 and hope for the best. Which I do think semester 2 of this year is actually going to be online as well. So that should give me a head start. But we'll see. And so then the next 2 are kind of Bookstagram / BookTube related. And my BookTube goal is just to continue posting twice a week. I really like that. I had originally thought of maybe raising it to 3 times a week, but I just do not have the time to make 3 videos per week. So it is going to be staying at 2 videos a week. And then I want to revive my Bookstagram. I got really good for posting on it and then I stopped. So yeah, it's been about like, I think 2 months since I posted on it. I do this every year though. During like the summer months I get really motivated and I start posting a load on Bookstagram, and then when like autumn winter comes I just stop. So goal for next year is to not do that. Then my last goal is I definitely want to try and make some themed reading vlogs on my channel. I have a couple of ideas floating around in my head. I think I have 4 off the top of my head that I want to do. So I definitely want to do those. I have kind of stopped doing the weekly reading vlogs, but I am interested in doing the themed reading vlogs. Obviously the one themed reading vlog that I had started, which was my musical reading vlog, did not work out. But 2021 is a new year. We'll make it work next year. So those are all my goals for the year of 2021. I want to know what your reading goals are. What is your Goodreads goal? I know a lot of people don't care. A lot of people set it as like 1 book, and then other people really like to put it at like 200 books because they use it to push themselves. I know in the end it really doesn't matter. It's just for yourself. Like, I'm never doing it to be like, look at all the books I'm reading. I'm doing it because I like to push myself. So tell me what your Goodreads reading goal is, and tell me what other goals that you might have. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!